Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Wedding Buzz. Our guest today began working in the music industry at just age 21, started as a local club DJ with residencies in New York City and Long Island, expanded into the music production, signing multiple record deals, and began touring and playing with celebrity DJs across the U.S. Eventually, he committed to private events full-time and has overseen the production and planning of close to 10,000 weddings dating back to 2011. I'm going to let him dive in further into his career. John, welcome to the Wedding Buzz.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad we got to do this. Like I was saying earlier, I know things have been crazy with like schedules and all that and traveling and all that stuff. But no, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you were out of town. I was out of town.
Yeah.
We made it.
New York, Florida, everywhere. There's so much going on, but all good things. Yeah.
Yes, we made it. I'm really excited to dive in. I haven't had a DJ on the podcast yet.
Really?
Really. I've been wanting. So I'm
Cool.
so glad to have you on because it's like a huge part of the wedding. It makes the whole reception.
It's a badge we hold like very proudly. Yeah. Everyone always comes up and they're like, the first thing they say is like, the DJ is the most important thing. You know, photography is important, food is important, venue, all that stuff is important. But they're like, the DJ will make or break the party. And
It really can.
yeah, that's a badge we hold real tight to us. So it's a great thing.
Yeah. So let's dive in. I want to talk about like you and your history. I mean, I mentioned, you told me a little bit about 10,000 weddings.
Crazy number to think, right? Like
Crazy number to think.
Crazy number.
Touring the country with celebrity DJs. So dive in. Tell me, like, how'd you get started? How'd you get here?
Yeah. So music's like in my blood. Mm-hmm. So my dad, you know, growing up, my dad was in a salsa band in Puerto Rico. Yeah, so I have it in my blood. I grew up with like instruments around, like bongos and like all that stuff. So it's just a part of me ever since I was really young. He was in a salsa band with a man named Frankie Ruiz. He was a very, very popular salsa singer in Puerto Rico. My dad was they were best friends. You know, they did everything together. He was a producer for him. He was his backup singer. So I kind of like just absorbed into, you know, that world at a young age. And it was great. And then fast forward, you know, into, you know, my high school years, a lot of my friends, you know, as we, you know, kind of got up there in age and things like that, started working in the nightlife industry, mainly as like promoters and things like that, some DJs as well, but just kind of growing into all that, being so, you know, musically, like I said, absorbed, you know, in growing up, it was just so natural to like get into that space as a DJ. My cousin was actually a big DJ in Washington, D.C. So like he would sneak me into like his clubs. Like I was like 12, 13 years old. He would sneak me in like into the DJ booth and all that stuff. So I just kind of like gravitated towards it. It was an awesome thing. I was able to, you know, play at some really big venues with big DJs. You know, it was a long process. You know, I started, you know, in Long Island at like a small little tiki hookah lounge, you know, when I was young, and I became a regular there. Ended up meeting some really great people. And I have to give a shout out to my sister, actually, because my sister put me in contact with one of her friends who her dad, my now partner, Kevin, owned Absolute. So when I first started DJing and all that stuff, it was like a big hobby of mine. And she's like, you really need to meet this guy. He owns a company. Like he can kind of show you the ropes, this, that, and the other. So and I did, and I was like, all right, yeah, what could it hurt? Yeah. I went there, I had my like first like interview with Kevin. I was like a 20-year-old kid at the time. Yeah. You know, I was DJing like small little bars and stuff like that. I thought I was the shit, you know, for lack of a better term. So he put me in this like whole thing. He gave me like a music quiz. He's like, what do you play after this? What do you play after that? I failed miserably, by the way. I failed my first like music interview or DJ interview, whatever it is. But he's like, you know what? You seem like a good kid. You got potential. You got potential. You got the look. You got all that stuff. So he's like, come do this wedding with me this weekend. And Kevin's like a guy, 20 years in the business at this point. He's great. So I'm like, yeah, sure. Of course. I'll do the wedding 100%. So we went, we did the wedding, and he's sitting there calling out every single song that I'm playing. He's like, do this, do that, do this, do that. And my head is like spinning. spinning, like completely spinning.
like,
I'm just
I thought I knew
who
what
the
to
hell
do.
is this? What song is this? What song is it? And my head is like completely spinning. So I got like a master class, like right off the bat on how to DJ weddings. And like he saw it. He's just like, listen, you got a lot of work to do. He always like says like, you know, by the end of the night, like he had me like in the corner, like sucking my thumb, you know, just like very new and very fresh and very raw to the business. So he's like, listen, you have great potential. You know, we'll work at it together. That's one of like the number one things I'm so grateful for, is because I was very raw, very young. And that's the type of, you know, kind of system and environment that we have is, you know, we'll take, you know, that type of potential and we'll really work into all the good things. So he did that with me. And from there, it just kind of took a life of its own. I continued to have like, you know, great people around me who really supported me. I had a lot of my friends, like I said, still stayed in the business. So they promoted me, they booked me for their clubs. And next thing you know, I actually ended up getting a really good opportunity in New York City at this mega club. It's like a legendary space. It's closed now, but I mean, it hosted some of the best legendary DJs in the world. It was called Pasha, and a big electronic music club. So, you know, I got my start there. I got to play like the little side stages, the basements, things like that. And then I ended up getting to play the main stage, and I did a really good job. I worked with another DJ from Absolute. His name was Nick Gaines, one of my very good friends, an amazing DJ, even better guy. So we would DJ together, and we just had a really good run of playing the clubs. We ended up meeting a lot more people, you know, agents in the business, you know, talent buyers in the business, other DJs that, you know, like the celebrity DJs that would come, the guys that are playing Ultra Music Festival and Tomorrowland and things like that. We would be meeting these guys, and, you know, they'd be like, hey, next time I'm in New York, you know, I want to book you guys. You know, I want you to come play with us. So we then were just like, wow, it kind of like happened so fast.
Yeah.
And we were just like, wow, like we have to kind of stick with this. So then came music production and all that stuff. And it was just a great thing. You know, we ended up getting a lot of support, and we kind of just rode it throughout. But the private event stuff was always like really prominent in our lives. Like we liked playing the clubs, we liked playing all that stuff and traveling, but private events were always really good, especially for me. It like really aligned with, you know, what I do and who I am, you know, in the type of like serving capacity of others versus like serving myself and just being this like big name DJ that goes around and plays clubs and does all this stuff. So yeah, it was just a balance, you know, from there. And then I ended up getting a really great opportunity with Absolute. We ended up getting some really big accounts, you know, and from there, the opportunity to work full time and to just kind of make a career out of it. It just kind of landed in my lap, and I'm so grateful that it did. And now it's taken us down to Florida. So we're a multi-state operation now. We produce over 1,500 events a year, you know, between both states. We're a recommended vendor at over 30 properties right now. It's just a really good thing. So I'm grateful that it all took place.
That's awesome. Do you still do club stuff at all, or you're?
I haven't in a little while. It's been kind of hard, you know, that life it's tough. You know what I mean? It's not as sustainable as the private event stuff. Yeah. And granted, I've gotten older, right? Like if you know, when I was in my early 20s and my mid 20s, like, sure, I'm going to hop on this flight to LA and then come back and play in New York. And then, oh, sure. Yeah, I'll go to AC for a weekend and play there. So, you know, it was a lot easier to do it then versus now, you know, and I would say I just found like I found my thing, you know, with the private events. I was able to build a structure, you know, build a bit more of a sustainable lifestyle with it. I still love to play the clubs, you know, and I still get offers every now and again. I've been so focused on the private event stuff just because things have been so great with it, that I've kind of, you know, shied away. I have been working on the music production side. Actually, you know, COVID kind of, I would say, paused us all in like what we do on a regular basis. So I actually had so much time on my hands that I really dove more into the music production side of things. So I was able to, keep my network of people and send music out to DJs, send music out to, record labels and things like that, A&Rs that I've met over the years. And I actually ended up getting signed to a couple of different record labels, both here in the U.S. and internationally. So that was a cool thing too, a different side of the music industry that I was able to, kind of take in. But all different layers of music and entertainment and everything that I love to do. So, it was a really cool thing. And, it's just kind of giving me a good base on everything that I enjoy doing and giving me that purpose in life of hey, if I'm going to commit to doing this, I want to do it the right way and I want to do everything that I enjoy doing. So it's really just been kind of a balancing act from here on out.
I think it's cool that you have a different experience. Even if you're focused on the weddings, I'm sure a lot of your experience from the clubs and all of that brings it in. So that's awesome. So now you were in New York, you're transitioning kind of to Florida. Do you still want to go back to New York? Do you want to do both states?
So it's kind of cool. The seasons are different, right?
That's true.
Yeah. So, up in New York, we get really busy. I mean, we're busy all year.
Yeah, it's New York.
But we're really busy. I would say once Memorial Day weekend kind of comes around through, the end of fall. So the mid to end November is, when things start to slow down in New York. In Florida, we're experiencing it right now. It's peak wedding season right now. As soon as September rolls around, into October, that's really when things start to heat up down here in Florida. So it's a cool thing where we can, kind of go off the seasons a little bit. And, also, for the talent that we have up in New York, there are guys that want to be busy, year long. So, year round, I should say, but it's a great opportunity for all the talent that we have between our New York operation and our Florida operation. All of our guys, they're so committed, they're so dedicated. I have to really show some love to our entire team, under the Absolute brand. How
many people do you have?
Oh man, between DJs, MCs, live musicians, that really work, somewhat exclusively with us. I would say we're probably into the 40 to 50.
Okay, you got a big operation.
Huge operation.
And then you worked with Kevin, and now you're a partner.
Yeah, so when we decided to expand down to Florida, it was so funny because, I have family ties down here. I've been coming down here for years. My family's had, we've had properties down here. We've had vacation homes, things like that. So, and I have from Orlando through Naples through Miami, I have family everywhere. So I've been so familiar with Florida, and my grandparents, they retired about 8 years ago. They retired and moved down to Port Saint Lucie. So it was funny. It was a little over a year and a half ago. I ended up seeing that Lessings, who's one of our main accounts, they opened a facility they took over a facility down here in Port Saint Lucie, which is the Crane Club in Tesoro, which is an amazing, beautiful, beautiful venue. And it ended up that one of our sales reps from New York, her name is Maureen, she's wonderful, she moved down to Florida and she became the sales rep over at the Crane Club. So I had joked with Kev, I was the GM up in New York for a couple of years, overseeing, the office operations, things like that. And when I saw them announce that, I was joking with Kevin, and I was like, "Hey, Kev, look, we've got a place down in Port St. Lucie. It's 10 minutes down the road from my grandparents' house. Whenever we want to start doing events, let's do it." And it was a rolling joke between us, for a little bit, and then next thing you know, we were at a Lessings corporate event, and we were speaking with some of the brass over there, I'll say, and they came over and they were like, "Hey, so when are we going to see you guys in Florida?" And you should have seen the look on my face. The look on my face was like, what? Really? So, and then Kevin as well. Kevin looked at me and he's like, "There you go." So it kind of happened really quick. We were. We sat down, we hammered out a couple of details. I was at a point where, I feel like I I did a lot up until that point, like not that I was like hitting my head, kind of, on the ceiling, a little bit, but I wanted to do more. Like I've always been the type to push the envelope and okay, what can we do more? Like, yeah, sure, we do 1,000 events a year. Yeah, sure, we have a great team. Yeah, sure, we're the best. Like whatever. But I was like, how can we get better? How can we do more? And so it just became a perfect opportunity. So when Kevin and I kind of hashed out all the details, I was like, Kev, I'd like this to be my thing. This is going to be my way to, partner with you and just share in the brand that is absolute. Mm-hmm. And he was like, say no more. So, we ironed out those details. It was a great opportunity for me, a great opportunity for him as well, because, we have such a great reputation in New York and with Lessings. We work at all of their venues up in New York, and then obviously now down here. So, it was just a really cool thing. It kind of happened quick. We came down, toured the facilities, met with all the personnel down here, met with management and stuff. So warm, so welcoming. It was so great. They all kind of took us in. We've been rocking ever since. We started selling in January of this year. We booked about, I would say 30 events so far, give or take. But, we've gone through our sales cycle, and then now we're starting to really do the events. So I would say we're about 5 events in so far. They've all been amazing, and it's been a great experience.
That's awesome. And I feel like you talk about this like progression very casually, and it's like really awesome accomplishments. Yeah. It's a big deal. So that's awesome. Yeah. So you and I talked a little bit about like some hot topics when it comes to weddings, and our audience here, like the wedding buzz is mainly brides.
Yes, brides. We love you.
We love brides. So I always want to kind of like, tell brides what they should know about whoever my guest is. So for this, like DJs, let's talk about hot topics, what they should really know. So let's start song requesting do's and don'ts.
Ooh, we actually did a really great segment on this. Shout out to one of our DJs, DJ EMP, Eric from New York. He's amazing. We did a great segment on social media about this. I'm going to quickly plug our social media on here. It's
Go for
at
it.
Absolute DJs LI and at Absolute DJs _FL. But we actually did a segment on this, and, song requests, I know a lot of the couples, they'll be like, oh my God, I don't want people song requesting at my event, or like they won't care, but it's an inevitable thing.
Yeah.
Like it's going to happen. If you're at a social event and there's a DJ, listen, I'm a DJ myself, and not that I'm going to say that I love or hate song requests, but if I'm out at a social event, chances are I'm going to go and I'm going to request a song from the DJ. I may not like put Bad Bunny on my phone and on my forehead, but like I will make a song request. It's an inevitable thing. So we'll first and foremost, like obviously always use our judgment when it comes to song requests, but like, if typical do's and don'ts with song requests, like I always say it's really hard to get a song request in within like the first like 10 minutes of the party. Like we like don't go up to a DJ in the first 10 minutes of the party and be like, hey, I want to hear this song tonight, or hey, I want to do this. Like we have a million songs that we've already prepared because the bride and groom have already given us a list and all that stuff. So kind of hold off on like the first, like, give the DJ an opportunity to read the room before you start to make song requests and hit them with that. And then a couple other things, kind of read the room a little bit too. Like if everyone's having a really good time on the dance floor, especially like if you're just like a guest or like a +1 or whatever it is, like just read the room. Know that it's like there's more to just like your song requests that's going to take place. And chances are, if it's a good song, it's going to be played anyway. You don't have to like fast track it to the DJ. But yeah, if you're a guest at a wedding, I would say read the room first. Like if you're going to request a song, wait for like that genre of music to be played.
Yeah.
Right. And then like you'll be able to like go in and then like chances are the DJ will probably play your song request if it's within the genre of music that's currently being played out on the dance floor. Like don't go out there and request Pepas when like he's playing like a classic rock set or something like that or doing oldies or something. So kind of read the room.
How about as from the DJ's perspective, if someone does a request, do you always do it?
Like if they make a request?
Yeah, like if someone comes up,
Yeah.
will you do it or do you?
It depends.
Yeah.
It really depends. You know, we don't mind it. Like I said, we know that it's going to take place, right?
Yeah.
So like we're kind of like braced for it almost in a sense. But if it's a good song request, yeah, chances are we're going to play it. You know, it's just like I said, it has to be at the right time. Like we don't as DJs, we don't like to force things.
Yeah.
Like you can't force things like ever. You know what I mean? You have to let things like naturally kind of flow through, and you have to read the room. You have to read the room. Like, you know, if you're going to start off your dance period with like a slow song, right? See what your crowd is like, right? Like, is it 60, 40, younger to newer, or like whatever it may be? Then like that'll help you. Like good DJs are always thinking like 3 to 4 songs ahead.
Yeah.
So, you know, chances are like if you run up to the DJ booth, like I need the song to be played next. It's probably not going to be played next.
Yeah.
Hate to break your heart.
Yeah, it's not going to be next.
It's not going to be next.
They have things ready.
It's just because, like I said, we're setting the stage, right?
Well,
like
because how bad, like you don't want the song to end and then that awkward pause as you try to figure out the next song. Like that would not.
No, there's so many ways that like we go about things, and like I said, we're always thinking 3 or 4 songs ahead of time. We're thinking, all right, how long is this dance period going to be before we transition into another genre or another era of music? You know, so a DJ's brain, like I always say, like you've seen The Hangover, obviously, right? You know when Alan is like counting cards and all that stuff, and like all of those like mathematical equations are going on in his head. Like that's literally a DJ's brain, 24/7.
Yeah,
like, that's just how we operate. So we're obviously like the mind is flowing. So you know, don't ever. That's like the number one thing. Don't ever say like play this song next, because 99% of the time
it's not going to happen next.
Unless you're the bride.
Yeah.
And like you're like, this song has to be
That
played
is one
next.
thing at like my own wedding.
Yeah.
My husband was making requests and the DJ wasn't.
Side note, we love when the grooms are involved.
Yeah.
Like love when the grooms are involved.
So he was making requests and the DJ wasn't playing it. Oof. And like my husband was getting like annoyed.
Sure.
And came up to me and was like, they're not playing it, blah, blah, blah. And so I went up to the DJ and was like, hey,
can you play this?
Did he make some requests?
Did he play it?
He was like, he has interesting taste. And I was like, well, he's the groom.
Yeah.
So
it's not about you. It's not about you at all. Yeah.
And then he did play it, and like all of the groomsmen, like I forget what song it is, like setting up to Boston. Whoa.
Dropkick Murphys.
Yes, that's what he wanted. And the DJ didn't want to play it. And I was like,
how's that interesting taste? It's a great song.
I don't know. But like,
is he Irish? Is your husband Irish? No, kind of.
No, maybe like way back when. But
that's another thing too. But like, Dropkick Murphys is great.
Yeah, I don't know. He did not want to play it, and I was like, "Can you please play it?
Can you just play it for him, please?"
Yeah.
Like, I had to live with him for the rest of my life, and we hired you.
I'm like, he's getting angry.
Yeah. Yeah. That's another thing with DJs too. Like, you know, in order to like be successful in this business, one thing I've realized is like you have to really like check your own like ego at the door.
Yeah.
Like, and that's another thing between like playing clubs and bars and stuff like that, and then doing private events. Like you have to realize like they're 2 completely different spaces. Mm-hmm. If you're at a club and you're DJing a club or whatever, and people are making requests and doing all that stuff, yeah, you're the DJ, you're the vibe creator. Like do whatever you want that will help the club.
It's like no one's party. It's the club's party. It's not like a single person.
It's about everyone, right? And then in private events, like so long as you're playing the music the bride and groom want to hear, and their families and stuff like that, then you can kind of like not like go completely off script, you know what I mean? Yeah. But like you have much less creative flexibility in private events because you're not there to serve yourself.
Right.
You're there to serve the bride and groom.
Yeah.
Like there's so many people that you have to kind of check off before you're like, cool, I'm going to play a song that I want to hear now.
Exactly.
It's not about you, bro. It's not.
It's not. And that's a good point.
For the DJs out there, and especially like the younger DJs that are coming through, like me when I was 22, 23, like do not put your ego, if you're going to work in private events, do not put your ego in place of what's there to accomplish. Mm-hmm. Like you are there to serve the bride and groom on the biggest day of their life.
Yeah.
Do not walk in there thinking you're the shit. You may be the shit. You may not be.
Yeah.
We'll be the judge of that, right?
Yeah.
So just understand that like it's not about you. It's about them.
No,
and if you realize that, you'll be successful in the business and you'll be able to sustain your career in the business. Because I know a lot of guys that are like hot for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and then they just become too full of themselves. They think they're the best thing ever, and then they start to get bad reviews, and next thing you know, you're like blacklisted from the industry. So just it's not about you, bro.
It's a very good point. It's a very good point. Okay. You mentioned having every pair walk out to a song during the entrances. Pros and cons.
So that's like a big thing I always talk to the couples about, because it sounds like the coolest, like most fun thing ever, right? But the vibe can be weird for it. When you do your introductions, that's like one of the most like fun, active, like peak moments of the day, right? Especially if you have like a rowdy, like fun crowd and a rowdy, fun bridal party. But here's the thing, like if you, first of all, have a big bridal party and you're like, yeah, just pick your own songs, the DJ will play them. Sure, like we don't care, we'll play the songs. But one person's going to pick a Bon Jovi song, one person's going to pick a 50 Cent song, the next person's going to pick a Daddy Yankee song, the next person's going to pick an Avicii song. And like, they're just so like scattered through different genres, different eras, like different BPMs. So it's just kind of like all crashed together and the vibe kind of gets weird.
And then it's like, what, 10 seconds of each song? Like,
not even.
It's
not
quick.
even. It's like, you know, you're playing 5 seconds of the song, 6 seconds of the song. You're not even getting like half of the chorus of the song. So like one of those things is like, I always say maybe put a song together for your parents, separate song for your bridal party, and then a separate song for the bride and groom, bride and bride to come out to. Like that's a good way to kind of mix it up a little bit, but you don't want to like over complicate that segment or just like, you know, kind of throw a whole bunch of stuff together, because the vibe just kind of gets a little wacky.
Gets wacky. Yeah.
So a lot of the couples will ask about stuff like that. And I'll be honest, like we'll give them that feedback and then be like, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
And some of them will be like, listen,
we want to do it.
We want to do it. Like my bridal party, they're wacky, they're fun. Like we want to give them that, like their time to do that. Totally fine. We don't mind at all. But like we're the type of company that we want to help the couples realize like the pros and cons of things.
Yeah.
Because like if not, then what type of service would we be providing for you?
Like do you like pre-cut all of those songs?
No, we have like in our hardwares, like our mixing controllers or things like that. So we have the ability to like hot cue certain things. So like if they give us like a timestamp of a song, or they're like, oh, we want it at the chorus of the song, we can just kind of cue it at that point and then play it, you know, for whatever the duration it's going to be. And we live mix everything. So we don't like pre-prepare, pre-cut things or anything like that.
That's awesome. That sounds like it would give me anxiety, but I'm glad that you could do it.
Yeah.
I like have beginner level knowledge of like music production. I played violin since I was 3.
Let's go.
I played guitar since I was like 10,
You're more musical
11.
in that sense than I am. Like I played like the trombone in the 5th grade. Like I wanted to be in like music class. Like, so my mom like took me to a music store and I was like, cool, I like that thing. And like, it was just whatever. But like, that's like the only instrument that I've ever played. But I like grew up around like percussive instruments, like bongos and drums and like all of that stuff. So I see a drum or a bongo, like I'm going to it and I'm just like playing on it. But, I moved off from like, I don't play instruments, but I do more the like digital production of music and like understanding music theories and like all that stuff. Like that'll help. But yeah, it's cool that you played instruments.
Yeah,
so
I definitely
you kind of get it.
Yeah, I do. I was classically trained in violin. My teacher was a Juilliard graduate. Like,
get out of here.
Strict as can be. So I was in like orchestra. So
Let's book some ceremonies. Let's like get you like doing ceremonies like Canon in D or Can't Help Falling in Love.
In so long. It's so sad to like admit that it's just one of those things that like I need to start taking lessons again.
Yeah.
Because it like makes you play.
100%.
But I definitely have an appreciation for music. And then with the guitar, and in high school I would like sing a lot. Definitely thought I was going to be Taylor Swift. Didn't happen. But anyway, I would like record my own stuff at home. So I have like baby level of production knowledge.
You have to send it to me, regardless. I still want to listen to it.
Oh no, maybe
we'll like collaborate on it. We'll work together on something.
Okay.
I'll just need like you to create like something for me.
I haven't done. I mean, I still play my guitar like casually at home, but I haven't done anything in a long time. I'm a rusty.
I love instruments. I've always wanted to learn how to play the guitar.
Yeah,
like the acoustic guitar. Yeah, like I
taught myself when I was like 10.
Really?
And then I eventually, after a few years, I was like, okay, I really want to get good. So I started taking lessons. But I just like picked up my dad's guitar one day and was like, I'm gonna learn it. It's just look up chord charts.
I'm gonna do it.
You can do it.
That's like a goal of mine in life. Like I want to be John Mayer.
Go for it.
I want to be John Mayer.
Do it.
In some way, shape, or form, I'm gonna figure it out.
No, I think like you understand music. I think if you understand music, like I've always been able to like pick up instruments because it's all really like once you like. Not to toot my own horn, but I got really good at violin.
Toot your own horn.
Toot my own horn. I got really good at violin. Okay. So like I think since I understood, music, I was able to pick up the guitar and stuff. So I bet you could pick up instruments.
Probably.
You definitely could.
Probably.
You definitely could.
I'm going to work on it. We'll come back. We'll circle back.
We're going to circle back. Yeah.
And then we'll see where I'm at with it.
Okay. So next hot topic, timelines that work best for maximum dance time.
So every single bride in the history of weddings, their number one line, or they lead with, I want to dance as much as humanly possible. I have sat across from, I can't even tell you how many brides. I've only in my time, I'm going like slightly off script here, but I only had one bride ever that was like, I don't care at all about the music. I only care about flowers. So like do whatever you do. I was like, awesome. This is great. But no, so timelines are a big thing, right? Yeah. Like, let me just say, a 6-hour wedding, if you're getting married on time, or 5-hour, whatever it is, they go by like this. So quick. So like you have to have a timeline that's going to be efficient, especially if you want to dance as much as humanly possible. I'm huge on having a dance period right after your first dance.
Before dinner?
Before dinner.
Okay.
So like that's also the New York in me a little bit. So,
yeah.
But because I know things are a little bit different down here. Like there are more food courses. Things are a little bit more relaxed on the front end. But for me, like I'm very much into setting a tone for the night, right? Especially if you have like, a crowd that's going to be like active and fun. And like, and if the goal is to be dancing and like really have a good vibe to your wedding, you have to kick things off right away.
Yeah.
And I know like planners and like, catering managers, maitre d's that are listening on this right now want to strangle me because there's so much to do. But the thing is, the party ends up being so much fun when you could just get a little bit of a dance period right off the bat. And a lot of the couples, like they're like, well, we want to get things done. Like we want to like get our parent dances out of the way. We want to like get our speeches out of the way. We want to do all this. Fine. Like you can definitely still accomplish that. But like you think about it, you go through a cocktail hour, right? Everyone's socializing, kind of doing their thing. And then you're into the reception. Everyone's, the music's playing. Everyone's kind of like catching a vibe, feeling really good. And you do your introductions, which a lot of good energy, a lot of all that stuff. Bride and groom come in. Like it's awesome. Like the vibes are high. Then you do your first dance. Fine. How many people, realistically, and I'm not trying to like start a fire here, but how many people are so like in tune with your first dance?
Not many.
Up to like maybe halfway through, right? Yeah, your tears will flow and you'll be happy for them and all that great stuff. Awesome. Listen, no one loves a first dance more than me, right? But after that, do you really want to do your parent dances and have
No, I mean,
have your
I
crowd?
separated it like at my wedding.
Yeah.
I did first dance, dinner, then parent dances that like then went into the party, which that's just how I did it because I did first dance, speeches.
Gotcha.
Dinner.
Yeah, normally you would do that. So like a typical timeline would be introduction, first dance, sit down, have your first course, do your speeches. Maybe you'll have a little bit of a dance period up until dinner. And then like the second half of the party is like all party, all dancing, all that stuff. You'll throw in your cake cutting and whatever. But me, I'm just so big on having a dance period
in the beginning.
because you really get to set the tone for the night. You get to.
I do like this idea. And
Yeah.
even from a planning perspective, I kind of am like, we can do whatever as long as it's planned well.
Sure.
And just like things take longer than you think.
Right.
So the time of like everybody getting up to do that dance period and then the time
100%.
for everybody to find their seats again, as long as that's like in the schedule,
Right.
then like go for it. It's awesome. I just think people don't account for that. Like it's gonna take a couple minutes for everyone to
100%.
like get up and then everyone to find their seats again, and then someone's gonna not go straight to their seat because they're like, oh my gosh, I have to go to the bathroom, and then someone else wants a drink. So it's like, as long as and that's all okay, that's normal. People are people.
You
Like it's
expect
gonna happen. So like just make sure that that wiggle room is planned in, and then it's like totally fine. And the in my opinion, like the catering manager and such, as long as it's, you know, they know when their food needs to be ready.
Right.
They
have no issues.
Then
Most of them
no
don't have any issues. I mean, listen, there's a lot of factors that come into play with it too, like guest count, for example. If you've got 250 people, you know, that you have to take a dinner order from, you have to serve a first course to, even if there's a second course or something like that, like there's obviously a lot of stuff that, you know, with all of that, things get a little tighter.
Yeah.
But like you said, as long as things are planned well and you have your buffer times and things like that, there's no reason why you can't create a timeline that really fits to your couple's needs and just the overall like success of the party.
Yeah.
So yeah, like we have the opportunity. Again, we're somewhat like not new, but we're kind of getting the vibe of Florida stuff, and it's a little bit different than how we do things up in New York. It's much more relaxed, like we talked a little bit, which is cool. Love it. And like when the party kicks up here, like it's great. You know what I mean? But from my experience, you know, in doing all this and also having that like club background as well, you know, the energy that we like to bring and just the overall like dance floor experience, that's number one to us.
Yeah.
Because we mentioned before, like the DJ is the most important part. Like people, if your DJ sucked, people will talk about that.
They will.
For the rest of your life.
And I
for
really
the rest
think
of your
like,
life.
I know they say food is really important. It is, but I always feel like the experience people have is what they remember, like that feeling. The other thing I was going to say is I always suggest that people break up the dancing because it's normal that
you have to.
People get tired.
You definitely
They're
have
going to
to.
want to go get water. They're going to have to go to the bathroom. So I like this idea of having like a little dance period before because they get to dance, they take a break, they can eat dinner, and then get the party going again. I think
It's so cool.
it having things broken up. I have a very short attention span, and so I know a lot of other people do too. So it's like something different is kind of cool.
Yeah. No, it's good. And when we have like the ability to break it up a little bit, because I say this all the time, like you could have Funkmaster Flex DJ your wedding and chances are like people aren't going to dance for 2 hours straight, you know, or 3 hours straight.
Yeah.
Like I have a lot of couples that they'll come up and be like, John, I want everything done. I want to do my cake cutting, like right in the beginning. Like I want to do like everything. Like I want to get it all out of the way and I want to dance for 3 hours. It's cool. Sounds like a good concept, but like, again, like you said, people are going to want those breaks. Like, especially, you know, in Florida, it's beautiful, right? Like, and you have some venues that are indoor, outdoor, you know, where the guests are going to want to like hop outside, and some of these facilities, they have so much to offer. Like we have mansions up in New York, for example, that like are breathtaking. You know what I mean? And just venues in general, like, you know, a lot of the spaces that we work at, there's so much to it. There's so many attractions that like the guests are going to naturally flow, you know, into different, like they're not going to be on the dance floor the whole time. You get the best DJ, they're probably not going to be on the dance floor the whole time, and that's okay. One thing I learned early on is that your guests may not be dancing the entire night. You know, they may be out and about, they may be in the photo booth, they may be outside, they may be doing this. But if your music is proper and you have a good time and everyone seems to enjoy themselves, you had a successful wedding.
Yeah.
Like I have some couples that they come in and they're just like petrified. They're like, John, like my family, they're not big dancers, but like we have all these other things that we're going to do. And, you know, I'm just really worried that my wedding's going to suck. And like, this isn't like, I don't know what to do. Can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? Like, we're not having a lot of people or whatever it may be, right? Like they're petrified of their wedding because again, people care so much about what other people think. Like, but regardless, like you can have a great wedding if you have good music, you're surrounded by your family and your friends, you have great venue, great food, And like, it's just a day to celebrate you guys.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a barn burner wedding. You don't have to have people like jumping out of their chairs. You don't have to have people crowd surfing.
It doesn't have to be crazy.
It doesn't have to be crazy. If you pick good music, you pick a good company to work with or good vendor, whatever it may be, you get great photos, like all that stuff. Like, you know, some people think too much into those other things, like, and just wanting to feel like, oh, they had a good wedding based off of what other people think, or comparing it to another wedding for their that their friend had, or whatever it is. And like, do what works for you and what's going to make you and your partner happy. That's going to be how you define your wedding.
I was at a wedding this year just as a guest, and it was a band.
We're so judgy, like in the industry when we go to weddings. Just side note, like
of like everything happening,
everything going on. Like we're like looking at this, like wow, like this centerpiece could have been moved over like 2 more inches, or like why is that flower tall and this flower short? Like
there was like a candle, which it was my husband's fault. He knocked the table and it was like a floating candle in the water, and I was like,
and it splashed.
The candle went out, and I was like, oh my gosh, now one of the candles is out at the table. Like, I know nobody but me noticed. And of course it was my husband's fault. Like he bumped the table, but it was a band. It wasn't the best band.
Yeah.
The bride was upset with them. But the venue was gorgeous, and they had this outdoor patio with fire pits, absolutely gorgeous. And I think because the band wasn't that great, that people kind of went to this like outside cozy fire pit vibe, and like everyone was having the best time. But the bride was like, oh my God, no one's having fun because everyone's outside. And so I felt bad because I know she wanted to have like this crazy dance party. And then a few of us like saw like, oh no, she's getting upset. So I was like, let's go inside. And it was like the guests truly had a great time. And I don't know if a lot of people noticed other than like me. Because I was like, oh no, the band's not great. The bride's in tears. Like people are outside, you know, but.
Do you think the band was like the reason why though that people didn't dance? Oof. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like, it was definitely the style of music that was being played. And so my next hot topic that I was going to ask you about was, which I know you're going to be biased, DJ versus band.
Ooh, DJ. So why not both?
Okay, because that's something that you guys...
We do, yeah. We it's called fusion. You know, I know there's some great companies down here that do it. We've been doing it up north for years. It's really the best of both worlds. For me, I love bands. My best friend got married. Oh God, how many years ago? I think a few years back. And he had an amazing band, but he also had like a DJ, like a one person like DJ Emcee that also like kind of played some dance periods and like also like led like formalities, made announcements, things like that. He had an amazing band. I love live music. I love instruments. I love all that stuff. So I love bands. Hell, if you can also afford a band, like God bless you.
Yeah, they are more.
Bands are expensive. A good band will start you at $12,000 to $15,000. You know what I mean? And there are some amazing bands, you know, so I think it really just fits the people's styles. DJs, obviously, you have a little bit more flexibility with music versus bands, because bands have their set lists.
That's really what like. I think bands can be amazing when they're amazing. I think if my only hesitation is if they're not great, you can't really go and ask them like, hey, change the song halfway through. Like
they have to play, and they have to play the whole song.
They have to play like the whole song.
Yeah, they have to play the whole song.
So
it's it's tough.
I personally go with DJ.
Yeah.
But I see the pro and band. It just has to be a really good band.
They have to be a good band. It has to be a really good band. And also, like, there's some venues that also kind of fit bands more than they kind of do. Like, I guess just like the kind of the vibe, the theme, the style. There are some venues that just like are band venues, I feel, versus DJ venues. But that's not like, it doesn't play a huge part. I just think it's like another kind of factor to it. But yeah, I mean, because we've kind of created this like fusion, element of DJ and live pieces, you can have a great DJ and it's still all very like DJ centric. But you just add the live pieces. So you could have a percussionist, you could have a saxophone player, you could have 2 trumpeters if you want. Like you can create, anywhere from a 2 to 3, 4, 5 piece band along with the DJ, but it'll all be driven by the DJ. You know what I mean? So the live pieces are just
it's like,
they're like accessories.
The accent. Yeah, accessory. I really like that. That is cool.
But it adds engagement, right? Like we have some amazing saxophone players that will start off, they'll play along to the songs, but they're out in the crowd too.
Yeah, and they like dance while they play.
100%, you know what I mean? And they have the ability to engage with the crowd and be out there and do their things. And, you could have that part of it. And then like when you kind of slow it down for dinner or something like that, you go from having a wild, fun party and then you kind of kick it back to a really classy, like jazzy, instrumental type of vibe going on for dinner. And like you have the best of both worlds with it. You have the live element, and then you also have the DJ. So it's just a really cool thing when you add live pieces, in one way or the other. It doesn't have to be a 5-piece, fusion band on top of the DJ. It could just be a DJ with a saxophone player.
Yeah. I think what's cool is like at the end of the day, you really can do whatever you want. Sure. And like these days, especially the opportunities are endless. Like you just have to
personalize it. You
figure out what you want to do.
100%. And you also can like lean on, like there's so much content out there now too, right? Like it's like, oh, well, how will that sound? How's that going to look? How's that like? Because all those details matter to brides. You know what I mean? And you can kind of see like how it fits your style and your vibe and things like that. And in most cases, it's just a really, really cool thing. So I am very big on adding some type of live element to your event. It makes all the difference in the world. And they ask like, oh, well, is he going to be playing like the entire time? I mean, he'll play along, but again, it's always very DJ driven. So it's not going to kind of overwhelm the experience that you guys are having on the dance floor. It's just going to add to it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, something that I ask everybody is, do you have any wedding day horror stories?
Oh, no. I've been lucky. I really haven't had too many, but one of the first weddings I ever did as an MC, this was years and years ago. We were doing parent dances, and there was a very intoxicated guest, and he was a +1 of, I don't know, like a cousin or family friend, whatever it is. This guy, he looked like John Travolta in like Saturday Night Fever. And this is like 2013, 2012, whatever it is. I don't know. He comes out and he pulls the girl that he's with, his date. Like they're in the middle of like the bride's dance with her dad. And he pulls his date out to the dance floor to dance next to them. And she's like tugging back. Like, no, like, we can't do this. Like, we're taking a moment away, blah, blah, blah. And this is, like, as soon as, like, the dance started. Like, it's not even, like, whatever. But, so, she pulled him back. Like, no, we can't do this. Then the groom started, like, it was, like, kind of, like, funny, like, a joke in the beginning. Like, not really. But then the groom danced with his mom. The guy did it again. And, yeah, so from there, he just started becoming like a real nuisance and started like meddling with things that he shouldn't. 5 minutes later, the entire ballroom was empty because the groomsmen ended up taking the guy out into the parking lot. And then it became a whole fiasco. Like I was in the room and I had thought, and up to that point, it was like a really good wedding. Everyone danced. I was like super happy because it was like one of my like first 2 or 3 weddings that I'd done. I was like, oh, this was like a great wedding. Everyone seemed to enjoy themselves. And yeah, I ended up, the only 4 people left in the room were me, my DJ, and the bride and groom. They were just sitting there eating their dessert. And this guy everybody was outside in the parking lot. Cops were called. This whole big thing.
Oh, no.
So yeah, that was like one of those big things. Well,
you started this story with like 2 trigger words for me of like he was intoxicated and +1. because I'm
Know your limits, people.
not a big fan
Know your limits,
of
please.
too much alcohol like in the beginning of the wedding day.
Right.
Once dinner's done, party your heart out. But
100%.
when people, just my opinion,
Yeah.
people will fight me on it, I don't know. But when people drink too much before like the ceremony, before the cocktail hour, stupid things just happen. Because then
100%.
people are intoxicated
Yep.
at times that aren't supposed to be the crazy party. And like, have fun, have a drink or two. But like, I think when people drink too early in the day, they don't make it all day. And then they act, act dumb too early.
You have to pace yourself.
Yeah. Once dinner's done and it's like truly the party time, like do whatever. Have a party. I don't care. But let the serious things kind of be done first.
I think people do it so like people are just also obnoxious too. Like it's not even so much a drinking thing. Sometimes people are just like, they're just naturally obnoxious. Like I went to a wedding and this is actually one of my friend's weddings. Like it's in the middle of the ceremony and the ceremony was taking a little longer than you would expect. It was at a church and it was taking like, you can kind of feel that things were dragging and, you know, the priest was just kind of like rambling a little bit, you know what I mean? But like a guest or someone out in the crowd just starts yelling at the priest. Was like, move it along, Buster. Like, oh my God, we got to get to the cocktail hour. Like he said, it's like something stupid. And it's just like, dude, you don't have to stay there. Like just if you're not enjoying yourself or if you're just like, just leave. Like the door is that way. Like, so I think that's just a thing too. I think people are just a little too obnoxious sometimes. And it goes back to the thought of like, this isn't your day. If you're going to be a guest there, if you're going to support the people that you know and all that good stuff, do it. But if you're going to kind of come there with, you know, the intentions of like, oh, I'm going to have a great night. Oh, I'm going to do this.
Yeah, it's not about you.
It's not about you. People have to understand that more. And that's really where a lot of the conflicts in weddings just in general come from, is people who just don't realize that it is not about you. And that could be up to the, you know, parents and, you know,
my book is literally called Your Day, Your Way. Because it's like, it's about the bride and the groom. And there's so much social like pressure to do things this way or that way. Or, you know, your mom wants you to do this or your dad wants you to do this. Like it's about you and your fiance and have fun.
But there are some couples though too, that they want nothing to do with their weddings.
I know, there are.
There's a handful and they're just like, no, like whatever. I just...
And if that might be their way.
Sure.
And if that's the case, like, okay, cool.
Yep. That's fine.
So anyway, we do have to wrap up here.
Yeah, let's do it.
I do ask everybody, what's one piece of advice?
One piece of advice.
I know you've given advice the whole time, but what's like your one last piece of advice?
I'm going to say to trust the people you're working with. I think that's probably the biggest piece of advice I can give because, you know, there's so many details that come into your wedding and you're hiring professionals, right? Like so long as you're not hiring like your buddy from high school that's kind of a DJ that whatever, or this person that, you know, oh, I saw their pictures online, they're a good photographer, whatever. Like if you're hiring professionals, you know, and you go through that process and, you know, you do your research and like, you know, there are a lot of people out there that they really do a lot of research into hiring the vendors that are going to be the best fit for them on their big day. Trust those people. Like, please trust them because, you know, for a person like me and for someone like you, I'm sure, like, we love what we do. You know, in order to like I said,
we want it to be good.
We want it to be good.
Yeah.
We do, trust me, we do not want to be there for our own, like, satisfaction. Like, I cringe when I hear some DJs say, like, oh, like, yeah, you could play their song, or you could play song requests, but you know, at the end of the day, you're representing yourself at the event. No, you like, I can get like, yeah, maybe you're representing yourself, but like represent yourself in the favor of your client.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. So, you know, if you go through the process of really, you know, really going through all your vendors and picking the one that fits best and you feel good about them, please trust them. Like, don't, you know, ultimately we'll do whatever you guys want us to do, but trust that, you know, we'll guide you and we'll put you in positions to have a successful wedding day. We're not here to do anything but that.
Yeah.
So that's the number one thing. Trust your vendors, you know, connect with your vendors, you know, do your research. Obviously, it makes a world of difference when you have the right vendor in place, the right planner in place, the right venue, all those things. The formula is there.
Yeah.
It's all there for you to have a successful day. So trust in the process, enjoy the process. And then you're going to have a great wedding day. Just enjoy it because like I mentioned earlier, it goes by like this. It goes by
so fast.
So fast. I can't tell you the level of disappointment I see with some couples that they're just like, wow, this day went so fast. Like, it was a great day. I loved it. It was the best day ever, but it went by so fast.
A lot of brides cry at the end because it's over. They're
Don't get wrapped up.
It's over. I planned for so long and that's it. It goes by so fast.
Don't get wrapped up into it. Just enjoy it and trust the people that you work with because we love what we do and we're there to make sure you have the best day ever. So that's the best advice I can give.
No, that's awesome advice. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Like I said, I hadn't had a DJ
First
on
DJ
here.
on here.
First DJ on here, which is such a big part of the day. So
awesome.
You mentioned before, where can listeners find you?
So Absolute DJs LI is our main, I would say, forum for social media. We have our Florida page, Absolute DJs_FL, all of our Florida-based stuff. And then my personal is at John Suarez DJ. So that's JON Suarez SUAREZ DJ. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, all that fun stuff on there.
Awesome. Well, you guys, if you're getting married in Florida, New York,
Absolute Entertainment, baby.
Go follow him. And thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Fun.
Love it.